cooking some food can be a really great thing to do. But only if you know what to do. That's why you're watching Cooking with Stu.
Hi, welcome to Cooking with Stu. Today we're going to be making some light wheat bread. Now if you're like me, you eat an awful lot of bread. Bread can be expensive, like $3–4 a loaf. Why spend that much when you can make a loaf for less than $1? Let's take a look. Here's some ingredients you'll need. Whole wheat flour, white flour, sugar. Now notice I put these into plastic bags. They tend to come in these shitty white bags that leak everywhere and don't keep things from water getting in, and they're just terrible. So throw these away, put your ingredients into plastic bags. You're also going to need some olive oil, salt, yeast, some measuring cups, mixing bowl, and I like to use a bread pan. You don't have to, you can just make a round loaf without the pan, but it does make it easier for making sandwiches. Now if you're a horrendous mess like me, you probably should do this in the sink. So put your bowl in the sink. First thing you're going to need is some flour. 2 cups of whole wheat flour. 1. 2. And now we're going to need 3 cups of white flour. 1. 2. And 3. We're also going to need water. Forgot to mention that. Good thing we're at the sink. 1 cup of water should do it to start. I like to make a little hole here in the middle to put my water in. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to need some olive oil. I like to use about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. This helps the bread not stick in your pan. 1, 2, and 3. We're also going to need some yeast. Did I mention we needed yeast? I hope I did. Yeast is really important. You can't make bread without yeast. I like to use about 4 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we're going to need some sugar. Now, bread is actually just a big fart bubble, if you didn't know that. The yeast eats the sugar, and then it farts a whole lot, causing the bread to expand to great dimensions. I like to use about 4 tablespoons. Don't put it directly on your yeast. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Notice I'm not being very
exact about this, and you don't have to either. When you do this about once a week like I do, you just kind of get a feel for it. Finally, you're gonna need a little bit of salt. And that's because bread will taste weird if it doesn't have salt. You don't want a whole lot. And you don't want to put it directly on the yeast because salt kills yeast. So this is about half a tablespoon, or half a teaspoon I mean. And I'm gonna do just a little bit. Just enough so the bread doesn't taste weird. Okay, now we're going to want to get one of these, a scraper. You don't want to use a spoon because it's going to get really sticky and it'll stick in your spoon. Start just kind of mixing it up. Just want to get the water kind of absorbed into the flour. You don't have to be very crazy about it, and you don't need to get like your mixer out or anything. Just kind of get everybody in this party kind of mixed up a little bit. Now notice we probably don't have enough water in here, so I'm going to add just a little bit. Just a little bit. At this point, you're going to want your ingredients to be pretty sticky because that will allow the fart bubbles to occur as the yeast and the sugar start getting together and doing their thing. I'm going to add a little bit more water in here. Again, this is a good thing to do in your sink because I'm already spilling stuff everywhere. And once the water's kind of mixed in, you can start using your hands. Just start kind of flipping it around, make sure all that flour is mixed in there. You'll start getting everything together into kind of a mass. And again, I think we're going to need a little bit more water. We want it to be really sticky. If you still got flour in the bottom of your pan like I do right there, probably want to add some more water. Just keep picking up the end, folding it over, pick it up, fold it over, now, and then turn the mass over. See all that dry stuff there on the bottom? It's got to get mixed in. Just pick it up, fold it over, turn it, pick it up, fold it over. Good way to get it off your hands is just to rub them together. Push down, fold over, and turn. Push it down, fold it over, turn it. Just keep doing that until all of the flour is absorbed. Now this is still a little bit too dry, so I'm going to add just a little bit more water. Again, you're going to want it to be really sticky. sticky at this point. If it isn't, it's not going to rise. Push it down, fold it over. Just about there. Alright. Now your bread should look like this, just kind of a soupy, goopy mess. Kind of fold all the ends around, tuck it under. So that it looks like that. Alright, so we've got our lump of mush. Now we're going to need to cover it up and let it rise for a while before we can bake it. If you don't have any saran wrap, you can do what I do. Just take one of your big old Ziploc bags, cut the edge a little bit, slip it right over your bowl. Might take a little bit of effort. That's okay. We're not going for an airtight seal. This is just basically to keep the bread from forming a skin. And we'll zip this up. Turn it a little bit. Make sure it's kind of tight over the top. Just like that. Now when we come back, this is going to be exploding out of this bowl. Alright, so it's been about an hour and a half. And as you can see, our bread is bulging out of the bowl. It's exactly what you want to see. The yeast has eaten the sugar that we put in there. It has passed a lot of carbon dioxide, or farted, quite a bit, causing gas bubbles to expand our dough into tiny balloon pockets, making our dough rise. So at this point, our dough is a lot more stretched out. So what you want to do is start folding the bread in, punching it kind of down in the bowl, kind of rolling it around back up into a ball. We want to always be kind of twisting everything kind of together in the middle, making sure that it's all kind of packed tight together. What you also want to do is get some flour. What you want to do is get some flour, lay it down, kind of also take a little flour and put it on the top of the dough. Just give it a little even outer coating of fresh flour. Now you'll also notice that the dough is now a lot less sticky than it was before, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so now it should be a little bit flattened out. What you're gonna want to do is start kneading it. The best technique to do, fold it in half, and you press down, fold it over, press down, fold over, press down with the flat palm of your hand, push it down, fold it back, press down, fold it back. Now you don't want to do it so much that the dough starts rupturing. You don't want to see tears in here. What we're trying to do is stretch it out, but we don't want to rupture the dough. Okay? If you start seeing tears, you're doing it too hard. Push down, fold back, turn. Push down, fold back, turn. Do this for a while. You should also have your oven preheating at 350 right now. So, I'm going to do this for quite a while. Just to get your dough really nice and well kneaded. Now what we're trying to do is pull everything together underneath so that we end up with a nice tight ball. Now if you don't have a bread pan, I'm going to be using a bread pan, but if you don't have one, you can basically just take it and roll it nice and tight in a tight loaf like this. But if you have a bread pan like we have, what you're going to want to do is kind of flatten it out. And you're going to want to really start rolling it up nice and tight. This is very important for having dough that's nice and firm, or a loaf of bread that's nice and firm, that's not going to fall apart when you try and slice it or try and eat a sandwich with it. So get it nice and tight so that all the folds are on the bottom, as you can see, and on the top it's nice and round and tight. Just keep folding it under so it's all nice and tight. It's going to be kind of elongated. Back and forth a little bit, and drop it in your pan, and it's ready to go in the. So as I said before, go ahead and set your oven at 350 degrees. And pop her in there for, I'd say 30 to 45 minutes, just until it's golden brown. Alright, our loaf of bread has been in there for about 45 minutes. Should look like this, golden brown. Just take your pan and dump it right out. It should slide right out of there. Now, you're not going to want to cut into it right away. Probably let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. I like to put mine on top of my toaster. If you don't have a cooling rack, it's as good a place as any. So we'll be back here in about 15 minutes to cut her open and see what she looks like. Alright, our bread's cool now. Let's check out what it looks like on the inside. You want to make sure you use a serrated knife for this, or it'll just crumble. You also want to make sure that you get a good even cut. Alright, as you can see, it's totally cooked all the way through. If it's mushy on the inside, then, well, try again. Let's get a good slice of this bread here. Have a taste. just a little plate. I like to put butter and honey on my bread when I eat it just plain, but you can put whatever you want on there. Just a little there. Spread it out. It's still hot, so the butter will melt real good. And we got some nice honey here. Just a little drizzle of that on there. Alright. And now, that's a good piece of bread for eating. Alright, well thanks for watching Cooking with Stu. Until next time, make some bread. And, leave me a comment or, email me. Let me know. What's that on my phone? Yeah, it's so good. And it's good to cooking. Let's figure it out. There's a lot of